Yes, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the CBC Wizdumb Hour, number 154 for Tuesday, October 26, 2021. I'm Steve Witchell in New Orleans.
What's up? It's Tony B coming to you live from New Jersey. What's happening?
Yes. Anybody that's watching us live right now, it is 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're watching right now and you would like to comment, please make sure you let StreamYard share your name. If you're in the CBC group, you're going to have to do that. Otherwise, just come on in and say hello. Tell us where you're from. We love to talk to you and know where you are in the world.
Yeah, come say what's up.
And also, we started this years ago as an audio-only podcast. It is still an audio podcast, and apparently, we're getting a lot of listens and downloads. So for that audience that's just listening, just want to make sure that you can actually view this podcast too. We record it live, but the replay is on Facebook in the Cover Band Central Facebook group, on the Cover Band Central Facebook page, and also on the Cover Band Central YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to and should subscribe to. There is a link in the description of this broadcast here where you can just click on that and hit subscribe so you don't miss a show, and you can go back and watch all the previous ones, plus the other goodies that are on that channel.
And we appreciate all the downloads too. So thank you.
We sure do. We're getting a lot of them. So
yeah, it's great.
Greg's here from SoCal.
What's happening, Greg?
Greg's a repeat listener. I get emails every once in a while from people who listen and never comment, never say anything. But then a guy sent me an email the other day and gave me
privately,
and gave me a good suggestion for an idea of something that we had discussed on the show. So cool. It's cool that, I mean, obviously most of the people that are listening don't comment, but that's okay. We love you anyway. We got in Cape May, we got Sammy K.
Sammy K.
Nice picture of his guitars and basses there.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Very cool on his avatar. Dig it. So how you doing? I know it's rainy up there.
Yeah, a lot of rain, man. It rained like 4 or 5 inches of rain last night, and then it's continued throughout the day as scattered kind of showers, and now it's raining again, and it's going to rain overnight, and then it's supposed to blow out of here tomorrow, and then a lot of high winds and stuff. So
right on. Andy Urban's here from Kashmir, the guitar player from Kashmir.
Hey, Andy, what's happening?
They've been on the road recently. I think this past weekend they played somewhere really cool. I forget where it was, but I know I saw the post. But good to see you, Andy. Good to see you guys are still out there killing it. Yeah. Marty's in Springfield, Massachusetts, representing.
Nice.
Thanks, Marty McGrath.
Eminem.
That's Mike McGrath's older brother, younger brother. I don't know. Mike McGrath from
From the McGrath family, of course. Yes, Mike McGrath and Jimmy McGrath
band?
And Mark McGrath and Tommy McGrath.
What's the band? Every morning there's a
That would be Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray, of course. See, Stump the drummer coming through.
No stumping today.
That's right.
There we go.
When we didn't have video, Steve, we could do our own sound effects and know how we were
now people will see us go.
Yes.
All right. We got Elizabeth Hunsberger in Newton, New Jersey, who saw Kashmir there, or she saw Kashmir in Newton.
Yeah, she saw Kashmir in Newton. I don't know if she's from Newton, but
she might be
from the surrounding area because
she might have just rolled out of bed, got in line, and that's it.
Maybe she drove 4.5 hours from somewhere to go see them. You don't know.
Maybe people have done so to see Kashmir. They're that good.
Yes,
check them out. KashmirRocks.com. It's a band I used to play with many moons ago, and
they do indeed rock.
They do Zeppelin to a T, man. Nobody better. Jason's been playing. That's a great question. I have a topic for today. I put it in the description. It was a question that was asked in the CBC group. So we're going to take a look at it. Tony and I are going to give our answers to that question, and we're going to explore the other answers because I saw there was a lot of comments on it, but I did not look at them yet. So it's going to be brand new for me, brand new for you, brand new for Tony.
And we'll do our reactions when we see the comments, or no?
It's a reaction. That's like last week we did the reaction video thing.
Okay, so now it's going to be to the comments.
A reaction to the comments, yes. But Jason asked a great question. He said he's been playing bass for 8 months now. Where should he be knowledge-wise? I would say, Jason, that you should be wherever you are. Whatever you've put emphasis on to learn in the last 8 months is where you should be. There's no, there's no rule book to say how experienced you should be at that point. It's all based on the effort you're putting in and how you're gaining knowledge. So when I started playing bass, when I was 8 months into playing bass, I was already playing in a band. I was a kid, and the band was kind of a kid band, but we did play little kind of gigs, and I started when I first got a bass. I started taking private lessons. I took music theory in school. I was in high school at the time, and I started jamming with my friends. So I got this wealth of education knowledge right from the beginning. So 8 months in, I was pretty good already. But again, it's what you're doing. How are you, Jason? What are you doing? Are you taking lessons? Are you learning from YouTube videos? Are you jamming with anybody? I mean, there's no really should you be at a certain amount of knowledge. That's my answer.
How do we define knowledge, Steve? Right? Because
that's a good question.
Is he asking at what level of proficiency should he be at 8 months in?
Well, he's knowledge,
or knowledge, because you could say the same thing. I mean, knowledge could be just as simple as, are you listening to a lot of various different genres of music, or listening to your favorite bands of music and absorbing what those guys are playing, because everybody's stylistically so different. You could be influenced by anything that you hear, especially when you're at a formative period in your development where you're just starting out and you're learning. It's usually like within those first couple of years, whatever you're most exposed to musically, at least in my experience, I've found that with students, is that they tend to then be drawn to that sort of style. So for a bass player, if he's listening to a lot of R&B and blues, or is listening to Foo Fighters, or is he listening to Rush, or is listening to Sabbath? Like, there's so many varied, structured, like Dave Matthews Band, there's so many different bass players out there. So knowledge wise, I would say what Steve said, it should be wherever you're at, but I think you have to make a plan for yourself and say, well, because let's face it, like we've talked about so many times, Steve, if you practice for an hour a week for 52 weeks, you've done 52 hours of practice a year, so then do the math. If you practice an hour a day, you've done 365 hours of practice for that year. So, theoretically, when you look at it from that way, you can do 5, 6, 7 times the amount of progress by dedicating some time every day to it, or several times a week. So again, I think it's really, you're only governed by your will to absorb knowledge and try to, gain knowledge. And there'll be only so far you can go on your own before, like Steve was saying, you're going to need to take lessons, or you're going to need to understand theory. There's so many developmental things, right? Play along with records to get your ear in tune once you're at that proficiency level. But if you're just learning how to play bass like you've never played bass before, like you said, it's really hard to say where should you be at 8 months. I might pick up the bass and just have a natural affinity for it, and I can kind of find my way around it, but I could benefit from lessons. Or I could pick up a bass and just have absolutely no idea, even square one, where to start,
Right, which is how I feel right now. Just kidding. Roger loves
even
your
after
kit.
40 years. See,
right. Roger loves your kit behind you.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you.
For those of you just listening, the video or the screen, the room that Tony's sitting in has a plethora of musical toys behind him.
And see, Steve, what no one can see behind me, but it's here too, right? And I'll see if I can show you. What no one really sees that's behind me, because it's facing the other way, is that drum set right there.
Oh my goodness gracious!
That
looks like That looks like the kit that's set up in Guitar Center that
Someone said that.
nobody
Yeah, someone said that to me today. As a matter of fact, it's pretty funny. I ran
that
into a friend
represents every single piece of percussion the Guitar Center carries.
Yes.
That's
So
what that looks
so
like
that
to
is
me.
behind me, but as this one is set up, we'll call it facing west. That one is facing south. The one
It's
behind me
in
that I just
wait, it's
showed you.
in
So they're
it's
catty
in that
corner.
same room?
Yeah, it's right behind me. It's facing. It's actually facing this way against the wall, but it's behind me.
Okay.
So if you look over my shoulder, right behind me,
I can kind of see it. Yeah.
yeah, you can
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
see it, but it's there.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is just
So I have two mega drum sets set up in because Steve, if you look at that picture, you can see. Look, I'll show you it again. If you look carefully, if you look on the side there, right over here, you can
uh-huh.
see the blue drum set that's behind me.
I do see that. Yes.
See that? Look.
I do see it.
There
Yes.
you go. See?
Yeah, yeah.
So it is there,
That's cool.
and
And
they are
so
real. They're real drums. They're not.
so any
They're not blue screen.
that's right. So anybody wants to burglarize Tony's house, that's the room you want to hit because
Definitely.
you'll make a killing in that room.
Or
Okay.
you might get killed.
This is all right. So we got a bunch of comments coming in here, which is nice. I love when you guys are listening and participating.
Yeah,
It makes our
especially
job
live
easier.
on the fly. Sure.
Right. So William asks, he said his cover band requires sheet music on stage. Does that come with or imply some legal obligations / fees on our part? And the answer would be no.
Correct.
No, you don't know any. No, there's no sheet music police, copyright police out there, or ASCAP BMI police out there checking that out. So that's not something you got to pay
Correct.
for.
However, Steve, I will say this: years ago, I used to play in a concert band with my father, right? Because he used to go and I used to tag
Right, I
along with him,
recall.
and they had, 500 selections in the library. It was two big binder books. And I remember when on the bottom of all those paper, whoever the publisher was that provided the sheet music for them, because it was so many songs, it would say like unauthorized reproduction is prohibited by law, blah blah blah, because they didn't want you to keep taking the 500 song library and making 1,000 copies of it. But you have to remember too that the
Right.
500 sheet song library had 25 books, because you had clarinets, you had flutes, you had drums, you had percussion, you had xylophone, you had bass drum set, oboe, trumpets, every instrument had to have the book of 500. So I
Right.
remember when they purchased that, it was from like a place, but I think for what these guys are doing, they wouldn't have any legal issues with any of that.
I'd love to see the xylophone sheet music. It's like all 16th notes
Yeah,
or all 32nd notes.
exactly. Sometimes, but definitely, yeah. So I think you're safe on that front.
Yeah, I think so too.
It'd be interesting to know where he's getting it from. If you're downloading it for free off the internet, then or are you, like, what's your procurement? Where are you getting it from?
Yeah, I mean, you can purchase sheet music,
Yeah.
where you're allowed to print it and use it. So, all right. So, all right. Some people are jumping the gun on the topic, so I haven't gotten to it yet. Yeah, I mean, this is the old. We've talked about this before, Andy. Tom Morello said it takes 10,000 hours to become fluent on any instrument. That doesn't come from Tom Morello originally, and you know more about this than I
It
do.
comes from Malcolm Gladwell, who's a Canadian author. Wrote a bunch of books, but he wrote a book called Outliers, and what it speaks in that book about is anyone that's proficient or has risen to any sort of stature in their given field has had 10,000 hours of experience. So if you're a musician, right, you need 10,000 hours of playing time, not just practice time, but 10,000 hours. If you're whatever you do, if you're a cyclist, 10,000 hours is what it will take before you can reach your true peak, or you've assimilated all of the mechanics that are necessary to do it.
Right.
And it's an interesting, really good book. He wrote a bunch of them, but Outliers is a very interesting book. And it's all on analytics where, they look at like the greatest hockey players in the world and, greatest athletes, musicians, and even like, skaters. They're all, they got 10,000 hours of practicing before they got to the Olympics,
Right.
Whether that was, skating at 4 o'clock in the morning before school every day, like true dedication. And that's what I was saying to you too. It's like, okay, so if you need 10,000 hours, if you put 1,000 hours a year into it, it's going to take you 10 years. And if you break that down, it's like 3 hours of practice a day, every day, between
Right.
2.5 to 3 hours a day, which is a lot of time if you think about it, every day for 10 years. And that's like we talked about gigging. And then once you get more established, all that time counts, So if you play 100 gigs a year and you're on stage for 4 hours, that counts as 400 hours of experience.
Right. So you have to be of some years. You have to have put in many years of whatever it is you're doing. I think I hit 10,000 hours plus.
Yes,
so,
myself too. Which doesn't make us masters of the instrument. It just means that we're at a level of proficiency where we can, we could theoretically teach someone how to play it, right? If you have that talent, or also
I would say so.
You're well equipped for any situation because you fully understand the instrument and you can speak to it, and through it.
Right. We got Steve Longworth in North Beach, the Washington coast, up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
He said he enjoys following.
Country.
I love it up there. I was just thinking, I was watching the football game last night, Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was raining, but I was like, man, I've never been to Seattle. I've been to Washington State, but I've never been to Seattle. I was like, man, I'd love to go visit Seattle at some point. It just seems like a cool place, cool people.
A lot of rain.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian might be trying to be a little snarky here, but Adrian Duffield said a great starting point is learning the musical alphabet, then how it scales up to 4 strings. I mean, yeah, that's you want to definitely know basics of music theory when you're playing an instrument, like a fretted instrument, especially.
Well, and to that comment, Steve, not to cut you off, but to piggyback on that, the guy who, earlier who was asking what knowledge point should he be at, I would say that for sure you need a strong foundation, so start basic, if you're just starting off playing the instrument, like Steve just said, learn the ABCs, learn the scale.
And it only goes up to G. So if you know the alphabet, that's
right.
it. You just need to go up to G or G sharp anyway. Freddie Diaz loves your kit. He said it reminds him of Terry Bozzio's kit, which is a big compliment to you, I know, because you're a big fan of.
I love Bozzio. I've met him several times. Great guy. So the inspiration behind that big mega red kit it's like a Bozzio, Neil Peart, kind of Mike Portnoy / Mike Mangini culmination, Simon Phillips. I had a lot of influences on that. All big kit guys, and it's very versatile. Like I said, it's got over 100 sounds on it, and they're all beneficial for some reason. There's nothing on that kit that you couldn't play in a song or use. There's nothing exotic or kooky. No gong, though. It's the only thing I don't have, Steve, is I don't have a gong. But I have a gong sample in my electronic library.
Well, then it's just not. It's not complete. It's not complete then.
No, I have to work.
But William said, "Thanks, guys. Original arrangements by his Ranger, by my Ranger myself." Okay.
Yes.
So
he arranged himself, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're all good, man. Very cool, and I would love to hear your music, William.
Yes.
And Andy is a professional TV watcher. So
excellent.
He's probably put in at least
he moonlights in the Zeppelin band. He's a professional TV watcher. 20,000 hours at least, probably.
So at least 20,000 hours. Yeah. All right. So this, I mean, every day every week we try to come up with kind of a topic, and I like to keep it relevant, especially with people that post things in the Cover Band Central group. If you're not a part of the Cover Band Central group, it is on Facebook. Just searching groups Cover Band Central, or there's a link from the website, coverbandcentral.com, where you can sign up for a profile for your band, or both, and it's free, by the way. But the group is very lively and vibrant.
Yes, it is.
And there's always stuff, quite often controversial stuff going on. But there was a question posed just a few hours ago, and I was like, okay, this is something Tony and I can answer, and you, our lovely audience, can answer, and we're going to look at the answers in the comments of the post.
Yes.
So while I was rambling, I should have went to actually find it.
Yes, Steve. Well, we can continue to ramble. You can continue to look for it if you so desire.
I'm going to continue to look for it.
You know what's funny though? You said about TV watching. It's so true though. If you think about the average person might watch 3 or 4 hours of television a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you'll be in. In 10 years' time, you're a professional TV watcher.
That's right.
But you've gained nothing from it. So do something beneficial with your talent. It's my message to all of you out there.
Right. All right. So here we go. I think I'm going to be able to find this. Yeah, here it is, right at the top.
There you go.
Because it's getting a lot of activity, 84 comments. So
See that,
we're going to check this. And this is a little bit of a controversial post as well, but I'm going to ignore that part of it, but I will read it. And it's Tommy Anderson. He says, I'm going to post a deep question for everyone and would appreciate a deep, honest response. I've been a singer / songwriter, performer, frontman, multi-instrumentalist, studio and music store owner, studio engineer, and producer for nearly 4 decades. I've played thousands of shows and have 17 CDs out. And I'm still trying to figure this out. Why do I or we do this? Aside from the chicks and the money, what is the driving force behind us? He says, I think it allows me an escape from reality 4 times a week at 3 hours a gig. The only time I'm truly happy is on stage. Why is that? What makes us tick? So I'm going to defer to you first.
Of course. Here you go first. You jump in quick. First thing.
I'm going to defer to you first. And then, well, because you got to listen to the question and absorb it perhaps. And then we will look at the answers there. But
and my reaction, because I just heard it for the first time. So great question, right?
Right.
So yeah, aside from the money and the chicks and all the things that go along with being a band, right? Why do we do it?
What is the driving force? Why do we go play? Because it's real. And he says the money and the chicks, and obviously that's kind of a joke because most musicians don't make a lot of money, and most musicians don't get a lot of chicks. And in fact, some of them are chicks. So many of them are.
Right. And a lot of bands have, happily married guys in it that aren't looking to pick up chicks. They're just, like I said, they're out to have a good time. But let's think about that. So, if you break it down in between from what makes Dave Grohl do what he does, right, on all his platforms that he's engaged in music, versus what does it make the 23-year-old kid who's in a cover band playing 3 or 4 nights a week, barely making money, but is working a job to have income, but his real passion is doing the music, right? And I think that's what it comes down to. It's in life, we need to gravitate towards things that make us happy. And there's certain things in life that will naturally make you happy, right? If you're born with the gift of being able to paint or draw and being an artist, you will generally have bliss and happiness when you are painting, because that is your true nature. So I think all of us musicians that are out there, every single one of us, our true nature is to play music. We're tapped into that frequency. It's part of our lives. It's woven into our spirit. It's in our culture. We share it with our friends and our family. We're moved by it. Not everyone is moved by music, but a lot of people can also be moved by music and say, I love listening to music. This is my favorite song. And they will go to a happy place when they hear that song, even though they can't play a note on any type of instrument. When they hear their favorite song, they can close their eyes and put their head back, and they are in another place, just like we are when we go to a gig and we play. Like I used to tell all my students and all my friends, it's like virtual reality, because when you're on that stage and you're performing, you're not thinking about anything else except exactly being present in that very moment, that beat within that measure of that part of the song, right?
Right. Sure.
So same thing if you're a music fan and you're listening to music, right? You're captivated by it. You're in it. You're passionate about it. You love it. It's something that is innately we're born with. And if you're fortunate enough to have a talent that allows you to actually play an instrument, it's really your duty to develop that talent to the best of your ability. And those that succeed, I think, the most in doing that are the people that are most inspired and have the most passion about what they do. Because if you don't have passion about something, it's going to fade away, right? If you're in a relationship and you don't have any passion, it's gonna go stale. if you're in a job and you're not passionate about your career, you're not really invested in it, and you're just going through the motions. And life is so short, you're wasting your time, right? So then someone would say, okay, but yet I play in this band and I don't make really any money and I can't do it for a living. But why do I keep doing it week after week after week? Because if I was in a job that was the same situation, I would say, I got to quit this job, dude. It's long hours, it's crappy pay. I got to pick up and load stuff in and out. And so, but we do it for the couple of hours that we're on stage, right? And when we used to break it down, you'd say for the 3 or 4 hours you're on stage, you're 3 or 4 hours getting there and coming from. You know what I mean?
Right.
All together, packing up at home, loading up, driving there, unloading, getting on stage, sound checking, getting everything together, play. End of the night comes, break it all down, pack it all up, drive it all home, get back home and either unload it then or unload it the next day. When you add up all the time, it's a lot of hours and you're getting cheated on what you really should be getting paid for, right?
Right. But yeah, if you have passion, Freddie Diaz said it. That was Nikki Frank said music isn't just what I do.
Sure.
Freddie Diaz said, well said.
Right.
Dale says it's my fountain of youth. I always feel like I'm 16 again when we play.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's an escape for a lot of people because, like you said, music is not all I do. So you, me, Nikki, all these people out there may have to wear a lot of hats over the course of a day. You know, you may have your hands in a lot of different pies and you may be talented at doing a lot of different things. Maybe you own a business, run a business, you're doing stuff online, you're playing in a band, you know, you're doing a lot. So I think that
Nikki's point was, he said, music isn't just what I do, it's what I am.
Right.
So
that's what I mean. It's part of his soul. It's in him. Like I said, if you're not a fan of music or you're not a musician, then you can't really relate to what he's saying and what we're talking about, right? Because it's
well, I think people can in a way in what you said about listening to music, because some people are some people that are just music fans are just as passionate, if not more passionate, than some musicians.
Yes.
About just listening. So they get it. The whole audience really gets it. I think that the non-musicians as well.
Everybody.
But I mean, Steve summed it up right here. It's in your blood. And you know, so I know you gave a lot of reasons there, and I would echo all of them and just say that there is no other magical place than being on stage and like you kind of pinned it down to just in that one beat, in that one key, in that one chorus, in that one groove. And there's no other place like that you get to experience in life. And it is a place. It's when you're playing with several other people and you're all there for one purpose and you're all locked into it and you're all focused on this moment, this present. When you're in that place, that's where the magic of life occurs, in the present moment. And you know, that's a great lesson for anybody, for anything that they do. And it's something that a lot of people never get to experience. But as a musician, you do. That's that fat, juicy, infinite place of the magic of music. And for me, that is the biggest part of why I do it. When I have a bass around my neck and I'm hearing that and I'm feeling it in my feet and feeling it in my back and I'm feeling that kick drum in my gut and hearing that snare is just my spine and all of it. And it's all locked in like that. And especially if you have a real good relationship with the people that you're playing with. And if I'm playing with you and I can look over at you and I'm feeling it and I look over at you, we just nod. We both know.
Yes.
We know, there's without saying a word.
Even a glance over sometimes from anyone in the band. They give you a look like, they're on that frequency with you,
Yeah. And you just you just know. And there's no other experience like that really in life. And it's a shame that everybody doesn't get to experience that, but we're lucky. I mean, and there's a multitude of reasons why I've done it for almost 40 years. But that is, that's the one that really kind of comes up for me, especially with the stuff you were saying.
Yeah, we're all tapped into it, Steve. It's an energy, and you're, like you said, you're born with it, and then you develop it, and the more you nurture it and put attention to it, the stronger it becomes, right? The better you get as a musician, the more opportunities you get to play with better people, you gain all kinds of musical knowledge over the years, and you start to think and play differently than you did 10 years ago, because you're a different person now, and you have different perspective on what music is, but it never loses the excitement of playing, never loses the excitement. And that's the one thing you can always say. Like, you can sit down, and it's universal language, right? Like we said that when I traveled down with you to New Orleans, and the group I was with who were not musicians was like, man, it is just so cool that you can walk into your friends, with your friend's band, and you don't know any of the guys, but you all know the song. And then you sit down and collectively you perform the song, and it sounds great, and everybody's on the same page, and they're all there. And then you have the collective energy of the audience that's also in that present moment, because they're following along with what you're doing. They're not in the energy field, so to speak, of the performing part of it, but they're part of that collective energy in that present moment. And I think that helps to drive the band too. When you go see a great band in an arena, and 20, 30,000 people are all, in tune with that energy in that present moment. I mean, you've been to shows where it's just magic, and you could say, that was the best show I ever went to for so many reasons. Was it because it was your favorite band? Was it your favorite venue? Was it the people you were with? Was it the energy that was in the place that night?
And it's it's all of it.
Things,
it's a shared experience. Greg said endorphins empower. Playing music is a rush and an outlet at the same time. Pour your emotions and time into learning a craft that causes others to have a reaction or connection, and that is a form of power that releases your endorphins. And that's true, man. It's a chemical said. There's a chemical aspect to it in your brain that it releases these endorphins that are feel good chemicals in your brain. All right, so let's look at the comments on that post in the group, because I expect that they're going to be different, knowing the CBC group as I do.
Hey, listen, that's what makes us so unique, because everyone's going to have a different perspective on what makes it great for them, by the way, like, my answer wasn't saying this is my thought, right? My opinion of what makes it great for me, I don't speak for everybody, because I think everybody has a different experience, but I think a lot of people have that connectivity where they feel it in their spirit, they're connected to music, and it's a very special thing. And like you said, if you're not a musician, it's very hard to explain to somebody.
Right. I think we're doing a good job, but let's see what
I think we're doing a great job, Steve. Excellent.
Let's see what the crew in CBC has to say.
Yeah, let's see what we got cooking here.
Well, I mean, this first answer, Dwayne Henson said, some of us because we can't not do it. And that's definitely a feeling that I have, for sure. I feel like I can't not play.
Right.
I have to play. I mean, that's what I do. That's who I am. That's the thing that really, for me, makes me, I was going to say defines me, but it makes me feel like the most me that I am.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
But you also have to fan the flame, Steve, because I know plenty of people who say, oh man, like, I used to play drums, or I used to play guitar. Do you still have the instrument? Yeah, I still got it. When's the last time you played it? Oh man, like 15 years ago. Why don't you pick it up and blow the dust off it? Yeah, maybe. Sure. I don't know.
Well, you have to want it. You have to want it.
But that's someone who was given a gift of musical talent, right? And who could play, and then, just decide to not make it a priority.
Right. Okay. So Shane Berry said, I hope you're doing it because you love it. That should really be the main reason. Yeah. And Tommy is the original poster, so he's participating in this thread, which I like.
Yes.
He responded, said, love is a good reason. Love is hard to describe, and that is true. Tom Pepe said, why ask why? You do this to bring a smile to your face. The great thing about music, unlike an athlete who has to retire young, you can keep doing what you love.
That's right.
Forever and ever.
Yes.
Dan Rutherford said, I don't know what else to do when I'm not making music. I'm thinking about making music, or scheming up gimmicks to get people to shows, or talking to my bandmates and how to take it to the next level. The truth is, from the moment I touched a guitar, I knew I needed to be on stage, and that is all there is to it. I love these answers.
Yes.
And of course, female comes in. Marianne, who is a good friend of Cover Band Central, said, I think I can safely say I don't do it for the chicks.
Good.
Chad Lemon said, the music provides a counterbalance to my day job that allows me to reset at the end of the week and keep moving forward. And I love making music with and for my friends. I love that these people are articulate, they're spelling properly,
Yes.
and they're saying nice things so far. So
so far. So good, Steve.
Carl Macero said, I love to sing about the Muna and Juna and Springa.
Excelente.
That must be from a movie or something. I don't know what that is.
Maybe.
Gofek Sufif. I don't know how to say that. Nasser. He's said, chemical reactions. I have chronic leukemia. Oh my God. When I play something, it's stimulated and I'm alive. Wow. Okay. Well, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Excellent. Yeah.
Man or woman. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a dude.
Remember the healing power of music too. We didn't even talk about that.
Sure. Tommy said, my keyboardist said it makes part of the brain feel good. This keyboardist is a doctor. Which is true.
Would be correct.
Which is something. Dr. Keyboard. Dr. Keyboard.
That's right.
All right. Steve Pavey said musicians are wired differently from non-musicians. We simply don't think the same way, which is why when a band ends or a studio fails, we write a song about it and move on. And Jeremy said to the original poster, you put out 17 CDs for chicks? And Tommy responded, no, for me.
Yes, very prolific. It's a lot of albums.
This is very deep. David J. Cox said the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. Mm-hmm. You were placed on this planet to create art and bring joy to others, so go do it.
Right. That's what I said. When you align with your purpose, right? Everything is easy and the energy flow is effortless, like when you're in the zone at a gig and everything's just flowing, you don't have to think about it.
Jeffrey Croc said, it is in my opinion, the greatest drug ever. When I'm in front of my mic, the cares and troubles of life disappear for those few hours. And that the same thing happens for the audience. And that's why, what we were just saying, it's a shared experience.
Yep.
And Nick Bryant said, human expression and sharing a unique human experience with other human beings, unlike no other. So these people get it, man. My people. These are my people.
These are your people, Steve. And it's all about sharing the love and the passion and the excitement. And we're all connected this way. And that's why this group is so successful, because you have, over 300,000 like-minded people that are all contributing, and for the most part, like you said, it's productive, effective, commentary.
I love it. Love it. Eric said, I think it's like an addiction. One feels the craving when one has not played for a while. I'm one of those, even though I played last week. Yeah. It's like I would be willing to play 9 bad shows for that one magical show. True that, huh?
Yeah, right.
We'll play 100 bad shows for the one magical show.
Right. It's a lot of shows, Steve.
Bruce Powers was singing before he could talk and plucking out chords on the little chord organ when he was 3 years old. He heard the theme song from Lassie, Greensleeves, on the TV and immediately learned to play it by ear when he was 3. He has perfect pitch. He always knew he was going to be a musician. The school counselor tried to guide him towards other occupations. I had that too. But I always knew he always knew he would wind up playing music since he was a baby.
Excellent.
Yes. And I kind of felt the same way as a kid, but I didn't have an instrument to play until much later. But I felt it early. There was like a piano in my kindergarten class, and I would go play. I learned chopsticks on it when I was like 5. I just taught myself chopsticks on the piano. I don't know how I even knew chopsticks at the time, but
yeah, when I was like 2 or 3, same thing. My dad was a drummer and he wanted to take a picture, so they put the snare drum on the floor and I'm sitting in a diaper and they gave me sticks and I started playing on it, and then he took the pictures of it and stuff. And he said after that it was like I was drawn to the drums. As soon as he had drum sets set up, I was climbing on. I was trying to get up there, and he put me on his lap and let me play around a little bit, And then as soon as I was old enough, big enough to play, then I would actually, play on the pad and stuff. But like when my kids were little, I made them a mini set. I cut down a stool. I had a floor tom that I made into a bass drum, and I put 2 little toms up because they were little, but they both wanted to play drums, and they couldn't reach the pedals, sitting on a seat because they were little. They were only like 2 feet tall, at the time.
Right. Mark said he forget who heard this from, but you don't choose to be a musician. Yeah. Music chooses you, and that is That is a quote that I've posted many times on
Right.
Cover Band Central on the page. If you don't follow the page, please do.
But you must
Freddie
accept
D-
the invitation, right? When music chooses you.
yes, Freddie Diaz has been playing guitar for 40 years, and somehow he feels he's just begun. Yep.
Yeah,
If it feels new to you all the time, then you're in the right spot. Because
absolutely.
that's what
Yeah, when you
want it to
become
be like.
uninspired, try to think back to what inspired you initially when you got into music, to try to
Yeah.
rekindle your spark.
And Lance Dickinson said he gave it up for 25 years and recently joined a working band. He now wonders why he ever quit. It's the ultimate escape from the troubles of the world, medicine for the soul, baby.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just don't worry about why you quit.
People.
Just enjoy it.
I love this audience. These
Yeah, it's
people,
just great,
these are my
Steve.
people.
These are your people. These are your peeps.
All right, let's continue. Paul Hanley said it's not about chicks or money, escapism for him. It's impossible to think about the mundanity of the 9 to 5 whilst you're playing, singing. If you can also bring joy to others through dancing and singing along, then all the better.
Right.
He said, I think if it was a full-time job rather than something I do to get away from that, I'd eventually become jaded and not enjoy it as much. And that's something that I experienced over the last 10, 11 years, Paul, playing music full time. And I didn't ever become jaded. And I played, this basically the same songs night after night after night, sometimes several times a night.
Right.
And I still would enjoy it. I would still love playing it. It's about me loving being in the music and playing the instrument. Royce simply said it's an addiction, which is, yeah. Okay.
But think about it, Steve. All addicts, why do they do it? Because it makes them feel good.
Right. And oxytocin, is it oxytocin or oxytocin? Sharing music gives you bigger wallop of it than your first hit of heroin. It's really more endorphin. I have this thing here. I don't know if you can see this here.
Yeah, I can see it.
Endorphins, listening to the music.
Endorphins.
These are happiness chemicals and how to hack them.
Yes.
When you're feeling blue, you just look at that and pick one.
You got to send me that. I don't have that. You got to give me.
I'd be happy to. I got it from Mr. Bob Doyle.
Yeah, take a picture and text it to me, please.
I have the file. I'll send you the file. I'll send it in your email.
Better.
Virgil said endorphins in our brains keep us all going. Not a cheap high, but well worth it all. Eileen, it takes you away from life for a while. Sports do that the same. I engage in both. I do the same. I love watching sports. In fact, I'll watch the World Series when we're done here. No worries. Just fun with playing. I love this.
Very, very similar. Like you said, like a football game, right? If you're a true football fan, when you're at the game, or even if you're watching the game at home, when there's a minute left and they're on the 15-yard line, it's just like playing music. You're glued to that very snap, and every second that ball's in play, you're presently watching that. You're not distracted in the least bit. So it's another thing that it brings you happiness. Brings you joy.
Sure does. You're in the moment. I love this answer. Joe Knopfs says, to me, it was expressing and or releasing any and all emotions that built up, doing so in a fashion that doesn't hurt anyone else's feelings other than the ones that you don't like what you're playing. And if you make someone else's day better, then that's a bonus. I consciously was aware of that for quite a while when I had a period much around the time when I was playing with you where I was just going through a lot of emotional things that were challenging, and I've had that throughout. I've been playing 38 years,
sure.
So that's something that happens to people periodically in life. And since I've been most of the time I'm playing, quite often I'm on stage and I'm feeling something emotionally, and I became aware that I was putting those feelings into my instrument and letting it go like flow like a current through my arms to my fingers to the instrument out to the boom. And then I realized that I did that without knowing it, and then I was actually become consciously aware of it. Like, I'm feeling like crap. I'm just going to take this feeling and put it purposefully, intentionally through the instrument, through my through the music, and release it. And it worked. You know, that's something that was really very effective. And that's what a great comment to remind me of that.
For sure. Excellent.
All right. Sorry, let's get back. There we go.
But all true, you know. I mean, your personality comes out in your instrument too. No two people play the same thing the same way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Jay English said it simply, I get to do what I love most with people I love. What's better than that? Mitch said, I ask myself this question all the time. It's a lot of work to keep a working band together. It sure is.
Yeah.
I do it for those moments on stage when everything comes together musically. To me, there's no feeling like it. And that's true too, because we as musicians, we put so much time and effort into learning our craft by ourselves and getting the right gear to make it all sound good. And then finding the right people to play with. And then even if in that case, you don't always have a great gig, you know, maybe there's not a lot of people there, and maybe you're just somebody's off. But think of all the things that it takes to get to that point of of experiencing that magic, where the crowd is loving it. There's that a great vibe in the room where you're playing. The people that you're playing with, you genuinely like as people and respect them as musicians, and you feel comfortable in your own skin on stage doing what you do, and you feel like you're expressing yourself to the best of your ability, to being the most you can be, and think of all the stuff that it takes to get to that point. So, you know, it's something to really embrace and something to really appreciate and notice and recognize and point out, like these people are doing. So
yeah, don't take it for granted, because it's a huge commitment, right, to get onto that stage.
It really is. But it's the place I feel the most comfortable in life. I feel like I genuinely feel that way. Like when I have my bass on and the song starts, I feel like there's nothing that can hurt me now. There's nothing that can touch me. There's nothing that can change this state of being that I'm in. And that's
that's deep and huge, because I feel the same way, Steve, you know. When I sit down behind drums or playing, and it's just nothing like it. You know, you feel like you're in tune with the universe.
Right. John Mark just said it's fun, which is true. And
that it is.
Sarah Jane Mary Ward, that's a lot of names, said you're doing what you want to do. It's fun. And and I like the GIF.
Yes.
If you get chicks and money, the guy from I forget the movie.
Yeah. That was from Meet the
Millers, or We're the Millers.
Yeah, We're the Millers. Yeah.
We're the Millers. Yes. You know, that's something worthy a little bit of discussion. Anyway, Joe Stevens said, we have mostly all been insecure our whole life, and we are looking for a pat on the back or a clap of the hands. So that is true for a lot of people, where you would think that most musicians are extroverts, but that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of people that are really introverted that will go on stage and they're super insecure, but when they get that response, that immediate reaction from people, and that's visceral, that really kind of fills up that hole.
Yeah, and maybe that's the only place they get acknowledgement in their life, you know, that, like you said, they're looking for that acknowledgement, and they get it, you know, from performing.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's wow. We got some really great points.
A lot of common thread responses, but a lot of varied answers too. You know, so some people have really, you know, distinct reasons why they do it.
Yeah. So all right. So I want to get through all this. So I got it. All right. Yeah, and it could be genetic there, like Bob said. It's in my DNA, and father and mother were performers, and my grandfather and grandmother were entertainers.
Yeah.
I played my first song when playing an acoustic guitar in the 5th grade. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. Yeah. Billy said I ain't no good for much else, and that's the truth for a lot of people too. Right?
Yeah.
People just like, this is all I know how to do. You know, I don't know how to do anything else. And I've known people like that who are super mega talented and will readily admit, like, I'm just not good at anything else. I can't hang a poster.
Right.
Franco said, it's always been an outlet for my emotions and passion on or off stage. Nothing else replaces quite how performing music does. That's great, man. It's a type of vent, which is what we kind of talked about. Shelby does it without the chicks and money, which is excellent.
Way to go, Shelby. Yes. As do I think most of the audience, but continue.
Jim said it's the creative outlet that adds meaning to your life, which is a nice way to put it too.
Yes. Find your purpose.
Okay. Hank Fay said, life is chaotic. Relationships are hard. A well-rehearsed set is orderly. I feel in control. I have the attention of the audience without getting too close. Wow, that's a deep answer from Hank Fay there.
Yeah.
Studied at Vassar College.
But see but
Hank Fay, sorry.
Yeah, but
you can find him at hankfay.com, by the way.
There you go. Not Frank Hay, Hank Fay.
Hank Fay, right. Like we were just kind of saying, Michael Skipper here said, I like playing with other people. You can connect without words. When the groove is right, it is magical.
Yeah, sure is.
Therapy, Gary said. Gary G-Man Bain said therapy. It feels good. Do it. Joel just likes the applause. My phone is ringing.
I got to mute that thing.
I know.
Eddie, write a note for Steve next week. You got to
nobody ever calls me, or hardly ever calls me.
Well, so. They're not going to be calling you anymore. Eddie's going to talk to your people and get that taken care of.
Wendy Siegel, who is somebody I know, who I've worked with, and she is an amazing singer and very, very hardworking. And she said,
"Is that Wendy from Joe Owner's house?"
No. This is Wendy from down here in New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Joe Owner's house.
Yeah.
But when he said, I am not in it for the chicks or guys, I don't need the money, and I have a very interesting life, so it isn't about escaping the mundane. I do it for the joy I get when the musicians are playing together as one, and the music is amazing. And yeah, she's great, and she plays with killer musicians. So there you go.
Excellent. Good answer.
Michael White, it's a true passion. For Richard, it's his therapy. Jay Dave just said it's fun. Keith said he's just addicted to the adrenaline and the vibe he gets from playing. Okay. So we got a lot of, all right. So we got people putting links about psychologically. Bob Brigby said, look up the psychological concept of flow. Performing, whether you're a guitarist, singer, painter, writer, is a creative endeavor. It causes a state of flow, which is highly addictive. The artist will go great lengths to repeatedly achieve this heightened mental state. And
yes.
Backed it up with a link to this thing. Flow is what we seek, said Rob.
It is. That's the ease of tapping into that frequency, and it's just easy. You like I said, you get in the zone and you just channel your talent. You're not thinking about what you're doing so much. We've all been there. It's not every single gig, but the more you play, the more likely you are to experience it.
Right. Agreed. Neil Newcomb said the magic of the moment, being connected with countless peoples while you have a conversation with your other bandmates. Time melts away, your true emotion comes out, and you're speaking to everyone in the room. It's magic, the magic of the moment.
Yes.
When you're playing on the emotion of the song and invoking the message through the notes, no words needed. The power and magic of music, the goosebumps, when the ego is shed and the music takes over. Let the music play the band. Magic. That's great.
Yes.
The ego is shed. I love the ego is shed part. That's
great. Yeah, it's important that the ego is shed, because the ego is what kills bands.
Yeah, and so these comments,
it blocks your flow too. Going back to the flow guy, ego is a big obstacle to help to prevent you from getting into the flow.
Right. These comments go on and on here. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, excellent commentary. I got to say, man, the group has really, really outdone themselves. This is like they've stepped up. They have great answers, but
well, it's
the common love of what we do, though, and it's never been more evident than in tonight's episode of reading through that, right? Because every single one has the same common thread about happiness and making other people happy, and getting into flow and connecting to that magic.
It's right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
As my buddy Don would say, Steve, that's huge.
The group has always been.
All my cymbals are echoing behind me like a big reverb chamber. That sounded so cool, but I won't do it again because I know it's probably really loud.
It was kind of loud. But the group has always been comprised of really good people. And I think that's because of the intention I had starting it. I wanted it to be really a community of people that are passionate about music and looking to grow and help each other as well.
Yeah.
And the majority of people in the group are that. The loudest people are the ones that are talking about the same issues over and over again. They're quite loud, but the majority of people in there get it, and they don't engage in it, and they ignore it, and they really just focus on the best things. So if you're listening to this broadcast and you love something about it and about this world, please join the Cover Band Central group on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/group/Cover Band Central, and go and like the page too. And
sign up for you, your band, or both.
That's on the website, coverbandcentral.com, that Tony's referring to, where you can sign up for a free profile for you, your band, or both. And there's a lot more activity on there. It looks just like Facebook. It operates just like Facebook. You can join groups on there that are specific to your thing. So if you're a singer, there's a group for singers, and so on. And there's a wall. There's a news feed. That's the word I was looking for. Wall was MySpace, so I don't know what I'm thinking. There's a news feed on there that people post their stuff, and you can do it on there. It's free. Just join up and put your latest video or your upcoming gig. There's an event calendar on there. You go in there and sign up, and there's lots of other goodies. I've packed that website, dude. I mean, I work on that website.
I know, it's packed
all of the time, and it's packed with articles that I've written, mostly that I've written, and they're all really informative. Or some of them are entertaining, some are goofy, but most are informative and can really help you in your thing, whatever you do. If you have this love and passion for what you do, you want to be at your best. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've learned these little tricks, these little things you can do, and I've put them in writing. So check those out on the website as well. And there's a whole meme gallery of funny shit that you can share.
Yep.
Freddie Diaz loves it.
10,000 hours easily you've put into Cover Band.
Oh, good God, yes. Freddie Diaz said, "Thank you guys, great conversation." He loves Cover Band Central. Thank you. Awesome, we love Freddie. You back.
Have a great
yes, I've easily put in 10,000 hours.
You are an outlier of two or three times over, Steve. You probably have 20 or 30,000 hours worth of.
I didn't even really think about that. When we were talking about that.
All joking aside, though,
Yeah, I was just thinking about how much I played bass, but yeah, my goodness,
you've dedicated a good chunk of time to this,
Andy said, great show tonight. Go check out Andy's band, Kashmir, KashmirRocks.com. They're the best Led Zeppelin tribute band that you're going to hear and you're going to see.
Rock on,
and I'm not saying that just because I used to be in the band and I know those guys, because I've looked to find somebody better. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And there's ones that are out there that are really good.
Yeah, there are.
But their band is great. We had if you go to the YouTube channel, which I encourage you to do, there's a link in the description. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. But if you go there and you can scroll back and you see, we did Tony and I did a Wizdumb Hour with Gene from Kashmir as the singer. He put out a book, and that was a really great conversation. We had a blast. So that's on YouTube. You can go check out the replay of that and get his book too. It's really good. We both, Tony and I both read it. There it is, In the Shadow of the Gods. Look at that. See, Gene got a free promo just because Andy was here participating in the show today.
And Tony was prepared with the prop.
Yes.
Unrehearsed.
Steve said, thank you. See you next time. For you guys that made it the whole way, thank you so much for being a part of this, and tell everybody, share this. We love doing this, Tony and I, and we do it once a week on Tuesday nights. And the bigger the audience, the better. It seems like it's getting kind of big now, right?
Yeah, and the more interaction, the more topics and the more feedback, and the more it's exponentially growing. So please keep listening in, keep the comments coming, keep doing the downloads, and and interact with us, because that's what the community is all about, right? That's how we can share the wisdom whether it be Wiz or Dumb. Either way, you get both. So it's 2 for 1.
Either way, you get both. Happy Halloween. We'll see you next week. Yeah.